since we're jumping into the news recap, starting with you, Amanda. Is there like a project-wise that gets you excited? Because in the last 24 hours, we've gotten news that Morbius has gotten delayed. A lot of the other films are getting delayed. A lot of people are speculating that, and I know, Griff, this hurts your heart, man. No Time to Die got delayed to October. And then they're thinking about, pushing back Black Widow. But with that being said, the stuff that we do have with Marvel, and particularly with the shows and some of the movies, is there a top 3? And also everyone in the chat, definitely join in and let us know your top 3 2021 MCU projects that are still slated to come out. What's your top 3? Starting with you, Amanda, if you want to go 1 through 3 or 3 through 1 on your project there.
Sure. I don't really have an order. Actually, I do, because like the Falcon and Winter Soldier, obvi, that's like number 1 priority at this point. I'm really excited for it. They just announced that they cast the Patriot in the series. Like I guess they announced it that he was gonna come in. Like I know that he probably filmed, obviously, because the show's done, but like as of recent, they like released it again, the news, for some strange reason. So that got me hyped again. Basically, I forgot, and then they announced it again. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's going to be great. So I'm excited for that. I have my Funko Pops coming in hopefully on Tuesday. So I'm excited for that too. But I love them. And I want to know more about Sam Wilson. And I want to know more about Bucky, because it's always been like supporting characters. And now that they're together in their own show, I think that we're going to like love them even more, because honestly, Mackie and Sebastian have like brilliant chemistry. They're so strong. And given the trailer, like there's going to be so much banter, so and so much depth to their characters. So I'm excited for that one. I'm so stoked for Spider-Man 3. Please, God, do not move it. Do not move it.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Watching from do not move Spider-Man 3. But also, I think if WandaVision's tied into Spider-Man 3, they kind of can't move it. If that makes sense too.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for
Which
that.
one is Multiverse of Madness coming out before Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 3 before?
It's after.
Yeah.
So I feel if they move that, then the ending of the season for WandaVision isn't going to be that. Oh my God! Hello, Kat.
I know. I'm so sorry. She's the worst. She's the worst.
Special guest, man. We got to bring in everybody.
Take over for Ren.
Yeah. Right.
But I think the ending of WandaVision isn't going to be like Mephisto, kind of. I don't think he'll come in. If they move Spider-Man 3, then it won't be that grand of a finale, I think. And if they keep Spider-Man 3 where the time slot is, then maybe it's going to be something bigger. So I think it varies that way. And the third one, I'm excited for Loki. That trailer, I wasn't excited before that trailer. I was just like, yeah, I'm all in. I love Tom Hiddleston. It's going to be great. So.
And to your point, Amanda, going back to just the timelines before everything kind of got pushed back, I think it was always going to be that Spider-Man was going to come out before Doctor Strange, as it be. But as of right now, Spider-Man 3 is slated for December 17th, and Doctor Strange is slated for March 25th of 2022. So we're only getting like 2 months before we get it. So I think in a perfect world, they would love WandaVision to go into Spider-Man and then go into Doctor Strange to kind of cap off this multiverse situation. So we'll see. Because another thing too, it's set in Christmas, as they announced. Well, not announced, but there's set photos showing Tom Holland and snow. So, and I don't even know. Like, I think the original Spider-Man date was like a summer date. So I don't. Again, you could have a Christmas story in the summer, but I wondered if they rewrite that into the script to have it be in Christmas. And obviously, people are going with the title Spider-Man Home for the Holidays or whatever the case may be, but we'll see with all that. But all these titles out there is just hilarious. But shooting over to you, Griff, man, as far as if the stars were to align perfectly, what are your top 3 projects that you're looking forward to with Marvel?
Probably, I mean, WandaVision would have been them for sure. It would have been number 1 on that list, but now that we've gotten it, probably Hawkeye, Loki, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I know I'm insane for not saying Spider-Man, but just like I have so many, like, I'm very hesitant about a lot of the announcements that have sort of come out about that film, and I'm like, this could either be a disaster or it could be really good. So I don't know. We'll see about that one. But like for right now, like that Loki trailer, I was not this is stupid. Like I don't want to see this at all. And then that trailer completely won me over, did a complete 180 on that. Hawkeye, obviously I think Hawkeye is one of the most underused characters in the MCU thus far, and seeing what they've been able to do with Wanda and Vision, who are also very underused, seeing that approach and like seeing what they could do with Hawkeye, I think is going to be great. Also, it's based off of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run, which is one of my favorite comics of all time. Like, it's just so good. So I hope they kind of play into that. And obviously Haley Steinfeld is Kate Bishop. I'm really looking forward to seeing her. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think I'm just like really excited to see that, because I love those two characters. I love that it's probably going to tap into probably some more of the politics of what's going on right now, and I think there's a lot that they can sort of do, obviously with Captain America not being there, and seeing like, is Sam Wilson going to sort of take up that mantle, or Bucky or something like that. I think they're really positioning Sam though to be the next Captain America. So I mean, those are probably my three most anticipated, but like I'm looking forward to all of the content that's coming out. I mean, even stuff like What If, I think is like such an interesting idea that's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, it's a lot of content to look forward to, and hopefully these release dates for the films. We know the Disney Plus shows are probably going to stick their release dates, but hopefully these films do as well. So, Chris, you, man, what's your top three most anticipated for this year for MCU projects?
Yeah, so I'll go in order. Number one, Spider-Man, of course. Like, obviously, Griffin. Hello.
I mean, I get it. Like, look, it's gonna be cool. If we get to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back, absolutely. Like, it'll be fun. I'm just worried that it's gonna take away from Tom Holland and his story. So
yeah, my question is too. Like, and I don't want to sound ungrateful, but how is it already here? Like, so many movies have been pushed. Like, Batman is getting pushed to like next decade. Like, Black Widow is coming out on like Quibi. Like, I don't understand how they were able to keep this date, or like to have like you're the last movie and also the next movie. I just don't get it. But
I don't know.
He brings in the people. He makes that money, and that's
hopefully, yeah. I mean, I trust it. If it's all those people, I just it'll be a lot. Maybe it'll be like 4 hours, but it'll be great.
Listen, John Watts cut.
Yeah. No, I talked about it last week. I'm a real nerd for Loki, so Loki is going to be my number 2. I'm looking forward to that. I'm a Vision nerd and I'm a Loki nerd. Those are like my oh my god, like underrated Marvel fan. Like, I love those two. So that's really cool. And then number 3, I want to learn about the Eternals. I want to see how that looks. I want to see what comes from that. The story sounds interesting. I don't know anything about it in like the comic book realm, but I'm excited to see what that looks like. The cast looks crazy, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. So that'll be my top 3.
No doubt, man. And a couple people in the chat, Spider-Man. Jay Manley, and this is the conversation we had a little bit before we headed off with WandaVision, like geared towards Marvel fans. I have to research the Easter eggs, and again, it's a gift and a curse with Marvel at this point. It's like you're either on the train or you're trying to catch up to the train, and when you do, you can appreciate the things. But I can only imagine like not being like so stuck into the world like I am. Like, I wonder if I would be confused what's going on.
I actually think that WandaVision is a great series for both sides of the spectrum, like the casual viewers and the people who are hardcore, because it's like you get more out of it if you're like a hardcore fan. But I also think like it's a really fun and interesting story to watch if you're just like a casual. Like my parents, for instance, are like casual fans, and they've seen all the movies, but they don't really like dig deep into everything. But they're loving WandaVision. They're just like really interested to see where it goes. Same with like, a couple of other friends that I have who just watch the films and they're like, oh, this is cool. This is interesting. So I think there's like, that's why I think that show is such a great launch point for phase 4, because it's like, it feels like a brand new opening to this next book. And it's like, you can have the baggage from the Infinity Saga for sure. But like, even if you don't, you can still enjoy what's going on in the show right now.
And I love to your point, Griffin, that as soon as the episode ended for episode 3, they brought up recommendation Age of Ultron to watch that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's stuff like
great.
Well, and that's the great thing about having everything on Disney Plus is if you're like, oh, I don't remember that, I need to watch that. Well, you can go literally on their platform and watch the movie that maybe you should watch afterwards. So.
It's almost like comics, right? You read a comic and you're at a
yeah.
comic store and it's like, oh, let me pick up this next run to see what the next chapter's like. So it's a crazy thing, man, growing up as a comic fan and seeing all this stuff come to life, man. But Eric's list here: WandaVision, Spider-Man 3, Doctor Strange 2, definitely some stuff to look forward to. So as far as my list goes, very kind of similar to you all, but I'm gonna throw in a little wild card. And that wild card is Shang-Chi. I am a kung fu karate fan at heart, growing up with Bruce Lee and watching all those films and just loving stuff with just stuff that we're getting in recent days, like I don't know, the Raid 2, and just all the different stuff. I just love a good hand-to-hand combat, bringing it back to Winter Soldier when we see people fighting instead of for using their powers. See hand-to-hand combat, it's gonna get me excited. But also just the idea that the 10 rings are coming back, and we haven't seen the 10 rings since Iron Man 1. We have the real Mandarin coming to the mix, which makes me think that there's going to be some Iron Man ties to Shang-Chi, whether that be Pepper or Rhodey, or I don't think Obadiah might have died in Iron Man 1. And of course, Justin Hammer's still out there. So I think there's going to be some Iron Man ties with Shang-Chi, but I'm also just excited to see this Mortal Kombat tournament style that they're approaching, or that they're talking about. Aquafina and the cast. It's incredible. I'm really excited for that film, and I hope it sticks its release date next year. So that's my number 3. Number 2 for me is I got to go with Spider-Man 3. Again, it's so much going on, and I am to assume that they gave John Watts the keys to Fantastic Four because he was able to handle himself. Even though I know they announced they weren't shooting Spider-Man 3 when they made the announcement, but I think that they have a lot of faith in John Watts, and I'm excited to see what he does. You know, he's kind of like the solo Russo brother. They're giving him a lot on his plate with this Spider-Man 3 film, and then going into Fantastic Four. I think, and I know Griff, it hurts your heart that Peyton Reed wasn't able to tell his story, and who knows?
I don't even want Peyton Reed, man. I'm just like, give me someone way more interesting with a creative vision than John Watts. It's like, I'm hoping he's gonna put his stamp on Spider-Man 3, because I'm kind of like, I like the Spider-Man 1 and Far From Home and all that stuff, but I haven't seen like, oh, that's a John Watts film. I haven't seen that quite yet. I saw his first film, which was Clown. I saw that like years ago when a dad becomes a clown and can't take off the makeup, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. But I've yet to see like, oh, that's a John Watt type of thing, and I'm hoping that we get that in Spider-Man 3, and we can see that maybe in Fantastic Four. But Spider-Man 3, man, what else? Like Chris said, Alfred Molina coming back, Jamie Foxx is the new Electro, these alternate version of these characters, Daredevil, the Spider-Men, Gwen Stacy. I mean, enough. What else can't be said about this film? I'm really excited. And I think the only thing that, like you said, Griff, that makes me nervous is like, what's Tom Holland's story? With all these characters, how are we going to, continue the continuation of Far From Home? I am to assume that they're going to do what they did with Captain America and Civil War. All these Avengers in the mix, but it's still Cap's story. So I'm hoping that's the case with Spider-Man 3 is still Tom Holland's story, even though we have all these array of characters get into the mix. So that's my number 2. And number 1 for me is Falcon and Winter Soldier. I am so excited for that show because, like you said, Amanda, Bucky, and Sam, 2 great characters, background characters that really haven't gotten that much from them. Regarding the acting's been great. I'm just referring to like their storylines and them being prominent figures in the MCU. So excited for that aspect, and I'm really excited to see Marvel tackle, again, like we talked about WandaVision, how women were treated in the 50s and 60s, and talking about that dynamic of men and women and the men of the household, and diving into Falcon and Winter Soldier, the race aspect of, not to get too political in the show, but yes, there will be some rift with people not agreeing that there's a black Captain America. And if I think they've already confirmed that they're going to bring in, I can't think of his last name, I think it's Bradley something, but in the comics, the first Captain America was a black man, and in the MCU, that's never brought up. Very similar to American history. There's stuff that we don't learn about in history classes and that they try to push under the rug. So I'm really excited to see them explore that aspect. Baron Zemo coming back, setting the stage for Phase 4. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's my number 1, and we're literally less than 2 months away from Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I'm really excited to see what they got for us in that show. And man, I can't wait.